Good morning, it's Travis Bard, and today we're going to get back to real estate and we're going to get back to a little bit of a discussion on the economy. It's kind of we're venturing into the middle of the third quarter of the year. It's hard to believe we're already into mid-August. But the news keeps coming and we just want to share what we hear. As we've mentioned in the past, our partnership with Goldman Sachs give us insight to the economy on a worldwide level, a national level, and then we try to dial that down to the local level for you. So I want to share some notes with you today from a recent economic update that we did for our company. So I'm going to look at some notes as I go through the conversation today, but just want to share what we know and then talk a little bit about how that affects us locally. So first, I want to share a quote and this is a little bit of how we operate in our world. And it's simply, the economy doesn't dictate your success. It dictates your strategy and how you communicate. So for us, we know that there are things that are out of our control. So our job is to work with the things that we can control. And that's what we try to bring to the conversations with you every time, whether it's this call or when we pick up a phone or see you in person. So what we're seeing right now is an economy that is expanding. The GDP this last quarter was about 2.4%. So we are expanding. The first quarter was at a 2.0. So slight uptick in GDP in the second quarter of this year. And we see that continuing. One of the other things that we're looking at is we watch global growth, and there are other economies across the globe that are expanding, and there are some that are contracting. Right now, we're expanding at that 2+ level. Europe is under 1% in growth. Japan 1.1, the UK 0.1. China 5.4, still expanding, but we're seeing a lot of cracks there. We're seeing issues and challenges there that will affect things across the world. And then Russia, with their war and the many things going on there, they're in the negative range at a 0.4% growth. So a mixed bag across the globe, but here in the US we are still expanding, which is good news. We do expect inflation to continue to moderate. We saw the peak a few quarters ago. The interest rate increases that we've seen have had the desired impact, but it is still a challenge. There are still certain things that are problems that the Fed's had trouble getting a hold of, and one of those is employment. We're historically low employment levels, and they just haven't been able to move the needle much on that with the rate increases. Job gains continue to moderate a little bit, but it's still we're still seeing strong signs in the labor markets. The last Fed meeting in June, there was a raise of the interest rates to from 5.25 to 5.5, and we see that kind of being where things settle out. There may be another quarter point bump, but we see we're kind of at the point where things are going to settle out. But remains to be seen with some of the news that's coming down the pike. But if we do that, what we are projecting is the Fed to start tapering rates sometime early in 2024, end of Q1, the first part of the second quarter. And we see that sometime next year, those rates will at about a quarter point to a half point decrease per meeting or per quarter. We see them settling back down somewhere in the mid threes long term. And that may not all happen in 2024, but we do see those rates coming back down slowly next year. And that does align with the typical rate declines that we see in election years. There have been historically those years when inflation was really problematic, where during the election years we saw them go up, but for the most part they tend to come down during election years. So that's a little bit of what we're seeing. And how does that affect us locally? Rates are the biggest challenge we have right now, because the old supply and demand curves, they operate as normal unless there is an outside influence like affordability. And affordability is a direct reflection of interest rates. And while we have a lot of cash buyers that come into the Prescott market, they are potentially selling to somebody that is affected by interest rates who may be financing that purchase. So there's always a trickle down effect of that. So affordability is the biggest challenge we have that's affecting supply and demand. We're still in tight supply of housing in this market in Yavapai County, and we don't see big increases coming to inventory levels. And there is just pent-up demand for housing, and that has supported prices better than we expected a year ago. We thought that these interest rates would drive prices down further than they have. What we do see, though, is that people are being very, very picky and selective. If a house has deferred maintenance, if it's just not show ready, that is being affected by people's willingness to step up and buy it. They're either looking for big price discounts, or they're just not stepping up to the plate until prices come down to a certain level. So if you're looking to sell or you're looking to buy, here are the things that we're seeing. Well-positioned homes, things that are curb appeal is dialed in, the house is dialed in, there's no deferred maintenance. Those are what are selling fastest. So if you're a buyer, you're going to have to be willing to step up and make something happen. If you're a seller, that is your goal. That's your objective, is to be one of those homes that is positioned right and priced right in today's market. Please reach out with any questions, comments, feedback. We'd love to hear that, and we're here to help you when you're ready. Thank you.